With so much traffic in the success lane, will you give up or will you move first?
All right, so let's talk about jobs for a minute. Let's say you make $15 an hour. So it's $8. It's 8 hours in a working day. So 15 times 8, that's 120. Okay, so let's say you're working at McDonald's. You're doing orders. Okay, on a slow day in an hour at McDonald's, you probably get 30 cars in the drive-thru. Let's say those 30 cars, the average spend on a meal for every car is $10. So 30 times 10 is 300. So in 1 hour, you done did $300 worth of work, and that whole day you only make it 120. You know what I mean? Or we could look at another thing. I work with shoes, so we could do shoes. Okay, 15 times 8 again is 120. Okay, let's say you sell 4 shoes in an hour, which is a light hour if you work with shoes, you know what I mean? If you sell 4 pair of shoes for $75 each, you know what I mean? That's $300. So you did $300 of work in an hour, barely even trying, not even caring, and you only getting paid $120 per day. You know what I mean? So a lot of times it doesn't even make sense for us not to have our own. We working for other people and we getting underpaid, you know what I mean? And another thing we could look at the Red Lobster thing. You know, Beyonce mentioned Red Lobster in her song. Red Lobster sales over the next weekend or week or so went up 33%. You know what I mean? Who's seen that? You know what I mean? The owners and the people who have ownership in the company seen that. You know, the cooks, the servers, the people that's making X dollars per hour, they didn't see that money, you know what I mean? And some people, they could say, well, they might get bonuses, they might get promotions, such and such at the end of the year. Yeah, they might. You know what I mean? That don't mean they will. I might hit the lottery today. Don't mean I will. But as far as being an owner or having ownership in that company, you do see that. You know what I mean? It's guaranteed. You know what I mean? Versus if you're a worker, it's not guaranteed. You know, we've been waiting for trickle-down economics to work for decades, and our middle class has disappeared. It's because it's no guarantees when you're a worker. You might get it, you might not. You know, and that's crazy. You could work for a job and you could sell $1 million, $2 million a day, and you might not see none of that. You might not. You know what I mean? And this goes for people making a lot of money. I personally know somebody that makes 6 figures. And to that untrained outside eye, that looks, you know, that's great. You know what I mean? And 6 figures is nothing to sneeze at. But at the same time, when talking to this person, they save their company every year at least $10 million. You know what I mean? And when you see that, you're like, damn, 100 grand, that's a lot. But compared to 10 million, that's 1% of 10 million. So you drastically underpaid. And six figures is nothing to sneeze at. But at the same time, it's like, if they paying you that and you saving them 10 million, how much is you really worth? You worth some millions, you know what I mean? Definitely. So that's what I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, get to letting people know, is that being an entrepreneur and having entrepreneurship is important. And just believing in yourself and starting your own thing, because you work way more than what you're getting paid. You always go get underpaid working a job. You know what I mean? And nobody understands an entrepreneur like another entrepreneur, because when you putting money on yourself and you doing it for you and you see somebody doing the same likewise, it's like, oh, you could vibe with them and it's nothing but love. So that's what I'm trying to push here with MoveFirst. And that's why I'm trying to get people on the same thing, so we could just all push each other to another level.